right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Louisiana SACAC State Meeting. My name is Danielle Staggers. I'm going to be leading us today through what I hope will be an informative session for all. But before we get started, I know it's Monday morning. We're coming off of a weekend in Louisiana. We were hit with a brisk wind chill on the way in. I just want to give everyone about 60 seconds to kind of reset where you are in your seat, maybe get comfortable if you need to close your door because you were just in the middle of a meeting. However you're joining us this morning, just take about 60 seconds to just get yourself here, be ready for this meeting this time so that you can fully engage in the state meeting with us. So just take a moment. And I did have some music playing earlier, but I think Zoom was trying to cancel me, so I stopped. But if you want me to sing it, every little thing is gonna be all right. All right, that's what we're going with this morning. All right, want to just start with a moment of gratitude. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. Thank you for giving SACAC just a little bit of your time to hear the updates, but also more importantly, thank you for everything that you are doing in your schools, in your offices, at your institutions to really affect change and be here for everyone who needs you, not just the students, but your colleagues, your administration, your family, the time that you're taking to spend with them. I hope you're taking time to spend with them because there's a lot going on. And so we have to just always stop and, show some gratitude for everyone showing up today. However you are here, thank you for being here. Um, as I said today, we are just going to go through some committee updates and really we'll also have an opportunity, specifically glad to have Haley Pellegrin here from LASPA to give us some updates on TOPS. It's always good to know what's going on there. And then we'll hear from some specific state and area initiatives, and Monique Tubbs will close us out towards the end. So you will hear my voice a lot throughout this presentation, but I am excited that you will also hear from a lot of our awesome board directors who are leading the committees here with us today. So there'll be some breakup throughout the presentation. All right, we'll start with who I am. As I mentioned, I am Danielle Staggers. I am one of the directors of college counseling at Metairie Park Country Day School here in Metairie, Louisiana. As you can see, it is only my name on the screen, but there is a window of opportunity for you right here on the call. There is space in the State and Area Initiatives Committee for another co-chair or for two co-chairs. So really listen to the updates for all the committees, but think about ways that you as a Louisiana member of SACAC can get involved. So of course, let's talk about what SACAC is. Of course, you are here because hopefully you know all the good that can come from SACAC. I have been involved in SACAC since 2014, and I hit the ground running. Immediately, I realized just how beautiful this community of colleagues who are doing similar work, who have the same mission of getting students to their next steps and their goals, are working together to do that. And when I joined SACAC in 2020, I found out the family that SACAC could be. My first conference was in Birmingham, and it was my birthday. And people who had only known me for about 2 hours took me out for my birthday. They had the time of my life in little old Birmingham, but we had a good time. And from there, I was like, how do I get involved? How do I volunteer? From handing out badges at registration to volunteering as a SIG leader, which you will hear about later on from member relations. And Monique just dropped ways that you can get involved as a SACAC volunteer as well. I've also served on the board of directors, which you're going to hear from throughout today's presentation, and have even had a chance to present. And this is the first time I've ever presented in a professional organization. So SACAC gave me those opportunities. So if you're wondering who is SACAC, to me, SACAC is family, SACAC is community, SACAC is the uplift that you need in your personal and professional life. And for you specifically, Louisiana, SACAC is where we can really make change in the college admission um, and access space. So I'm glad that you're here this morning to hear all about what SACAC is doing and listening to all the ways that you can get involved. We are led by an awesome presidential team. So on our presidential team, we have our past president, Sean Kennedy, who's at Ravenscroft School in North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina. We have Arlene Outerbridge, who is our current president, and she is in Florida at the Masters Academy. And we have Anita Hua, who is the president-elect. So she's coming up. We will be excited to welcome her as president in New Orleans in March. And Anita is at the Lovett School in Atlanta, Georgia. And if you've been in SACAC for a while, you probably also know Anita from all the many conferences that she has planned throughout her tenure. So we are excited to be welcoming her into the presidential seat this March. All right, within SACAC, we have several committees. You can see them all listed here. We're going to hear from most of these committees today. But what I want to reiterate here is that SACAC is ran by a working board of directors, all right? It's not just people that are sitting here and, cheering on what's happening. They are doing the work. And the volunteers are as well. Everyone who has a role within SACAC makes SACAC move. So I'm really excited for you all to hear what's going on within the specific committees this morning. And to kick it off, I am actually going to turn it over to Malika Lindsay with the Admission Practices Committee.
Good morning, friends. My name is Malika Lindsay. I am the Admissions Practices Chair for SACAC. I will end my cycle this March. So I have been for almost 3 years now. I just wanted to give you a note. There are no major events happening with admissions practices or anything super important to be aware of, but I just want to make sure that you're always clear on the fact that ethical practices matter in our profession, and that there are ways to learn more about best practices. The GAPCA, or the Guide to Ethical Practice in College Admissions, is linked here. It's really worth your time to read through it when you have time, just to sort of see some of how we as a larger organization as NACAC are thinking about ethical sort of choices, and how we deal with what we do in our work, always centering students and centering their needs. And if there are any specific ethical issues or concerns in our region, I am your go-to. So if you hear about something that's being done at a particular school, or you're concerned about how a student is being treated by a school or a program, I'm happy to hear from you and give you some insight, and certainly pass that on to the folks that need it at the higher levels in NACAC. But there aren't a lot of things that we can do in terms of the choices that schools make, but we can remind them of the fact that we are an ethics-based profession, and that we do things in a certain way. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any AP questions.
Thank you so much, Malika. We will now hear an update from Diana McAfee about the annual conference.
All right. Well, Dr. Corey Bailey is our annual conference chair, and he is working right now on all of the nitty gritty details of the annual conference, including the schedule, the social, all of the networking events, the hotel arrangements, and then Anita Hua, who, as Danielle mentioned, is our former annual conference chair and now president-elect. She is working on the program sessions and lining up our kickoff event. And she's also the individual who set this year's theme for our 60th conference, our 60th anniversary conference, Opening Doors, Changing Lives. So this special anniversary conference is a tribute to all of the people and the partnerships that have opened doors for so many. And it's also a celebration of the lives that have been changed in the process. So 2026 is both the 60th anniversary conference as well as SACAC's 60th birthday because we were founded in 1966. Okay, next slide, Danielle. So we look forward to gathering March 22nd and 23rd, 2026, with about 1,000 counseling and admission professionals in your state. Yay, Louisiana, at the Sheraton New Orleans for this special celebration. If you've never attended, the SACAC annual conference is a fast and furious event with the official conference really only lasting like a day and a half. There's a lot packed in. Saturday, March 21st, will actually be host to some pre-conference sessions, optional college tours. The board meets on that day. And then the conference itself is comprised of a kickoff event, special interest group meetings, state and area initiative meetings, the president's reception, committee meetings, a luncheon, membership meeting, networking college fair, which allows our secondary counselors to network with our post-secondary college and university reps. There are 5 blocks of educational sessions. And then, of course, we cap it all off with a conference social, which this year we're super excited will be held at the Sazerac House. So we can just walk basically a couple of steps over to the social from the hotel. So we're really excited. As we plan our time together in New Orleans, we know that some institutions, organizations might consider hosting receptions around our conference events. But if you plan to host one of those, we just ask that you host outside of our official conference programming. Because again, it's fast, furious, we pack a whole lot in, and we don't want to take away from the conference experience. So you can just check the schedule on the conference website if you're interested in hosting one of those receptions. And it would be advantageous for you to contact Corey Bailey, the conference chair, to chat about those plans. We are partnering in our planning with New Orleans and Co. And so they might actually be able to provide some service suggestions because they then can offer potentially some discounts for you. So, you organizations in Louisiana, you may have your own connections, but it's always good to hear, hey, if there's a chance for a different discount, work with us. And then we're also aware of that outside programming. So this year we've received over 130 sessions for the about 70 sessions that we're looking to fill in those educational blocks. So we appreciate everyone who put in a proposal. The committee will be making selections over the coming weeks. We do want to encourage you, if your proposal is not selected for this particular event, know that you might be asked to present that material for an alternative SACAC event, and definitely keep trying for future years. Registration is slated to open mid-December. The early bird registration rate is $350. And if you're a regular attendee, this rate did increase this year due to significantly rising industry costs. The room rate at the Sheraton New Orleans is going to be $239 a night. Once you register for the conference, you'll receive the link to reserve your room within our conference block. And we're also pleased to announce that Southwest Airlines is a preferred carrier for the conference. Y'all probably won't be flying in to your own home state, but for your colleagues that will be coming to join you, and we hope that you're encouraging them to do so. Tell them they can grab a discount with Southwest, and we'll be sharing more about that also. So we do hope that so many of you will be able to attend and also help us out in making this event a success. We'll be putting out a call for volunteers closer to the conference, and we'd love to have your help as a greeter, as someone that maybe decorates for the social, that just helps get ready for these events. So in Corey's words that he wrote, from beignets to brass bands, from professional growth to unforgettable fellowship, SACAC 2026 is going to be a celebration like no other. And we have no doubt that you all, our Louisiana friends, will help ensure that that is the case. All right, next slide, Danielle. All right, advancement. So the advancement committee is charged with raising money to help offset program and event costs. Dr. Julia Hodge and Jaleese Hadley are our advancement chairs, and so for today, I'm getting to speak on their behalf as I work with them closely in their endeavors. Currently, their focus is on securing partners for our annual conference. You can see the chart of sponsorships here. Not that it's real clear because that's really pretty small on the screen. But as you can see, there's lots of different opportunities to support SACAC in the annual conference. Um, so if you have colleagues who work on that vendor side, invite them to join us to support our efforts to partner with us for the 2026 conference. These are links to both sponsorship and exhibitor registrations. We also invite institutions to sponsor aspects of SACAC as well. You don't have to be a vendor to do so. Your school, your college is more than welcome to support us and to have yourself highlighted. I will draw your attention to the items at the very bottom of the screen, the institutional partner and the friend of SACAC sponsorships. These are ways to highlight your institution or your organization and support SACAC at a lower monetary commitment. So that might be of an interest to you. And then in the spring, advancement will be looking for support of our summer programming. So if you have an interest in advancement type activities and asking people for money and support, Julia and Jaylease would love to have your help. Or if you just have a lot of contacts, they would also love to hear about those. So thank you.
Thank you, Diana. And I just have to say, you have me so hyped about the conference. I was already hyped, but now I'm even more hyped. I love Corey's little poem at the end. And as Diana said, this is a really great opportunity for Louisiana to show who we are within SACAC, show up in large numbers. And I love that little plug about even if your presentation is not selected for the SACAC conference, there will be an opportunity maybe for the drive-in workshop that we'll talk about later on in this presentation. So that's a great way to still be able to share your expertise with your colleagues within the organization. All right, so we're going to move on to communication, and we will have an update from Dominique Harrison.
All right, good morning, everyone. Greetings from the Communications Committee, myself and my co-chair, Ms. Ebony Lovett. And you can pop onto my one and only slide. And so with the Communications Committee, we just want to give some updates from what we have going on and some ways that you can stay connected and involved with us and with SACAC as a whole. So we definitely want to encourage you to take some time. I know you get a lot of emails, but on Wednesdays, you get a nice, cool email that comes out that has a lot of information. And through some of those communications, you can explore and see what some of our events are, also any opportunities to volunteer. And then also utilize your info hub. We have gone to a new platform over the last year, and I will not take credit. I will give all credit to the wonderful wizard Diana, who did a great job building out most of Growth Zone for us. That is a good hub for us to find everything from any membership milestones that you or your colleagues are achieving, also any job listings. So whether you're looking for that next step career-wise, or if you have opportunities where you are, you can also post those as well. Member spotlights, volunteer opportunities, and much, much more. In regards to member spotlights, we would love for you to go in and nominate any of your peers that are SACAC members that you know are doing great things in our field. We would love to have the opportunity to utilize them for one of our quarterly member spotlights throughout the year. We also encourage you to follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn for updates and some of the different highlights that we're doing across the country. We also understand that sometimes you don't want to have your personal Instagram connected to work things. We get that. But if you would at least join us on our LinkedIn, we're really trying hard to boost our engagement and have more flowing through that channel as well. And if you have any ideas or topics, articles, things that you see that would be helpful for our SACAC community, feel free to email those suggestions to us at communications@sacac.org.
Thank you, Dominique. And I saw in the last What's Coming Wednesday, you all are recruiting for more members to join the Communication Advisory Board.
Yes, so that is another volunteer opportunity that we do have an application out there for.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, we are going to keep rolling. We're going to go right into the Finance Committee. Just some quick updates about the Finance Committee. They are in charge of the finances, but also specifically these two opportunities. So the Counselor Participation Fund, this is a great opportunity to really think about how SACAC can supplement your professional development. And this is going to be an opportunity that we here in Louisiana can use even as you are thinking about attending SACAC in the spring, or maybe even the Sweet Tea Tour over the summer. Really consider utilizing the Counselor Participation Fund. If it would make a difference in you being able to participate or not, as well as the Extend the Dream grant. So this is an opportunity that enables you to pay for special projects. So those special passion projects that you really want that can maybe make a difference in what you're doing over the summer and the fall, utilize the resources that are available here within SACAC. So you can scan those QR codes, but I think Monique also just added the links within the within the chat for you to easily access. I've had experience with both of these opportunities. It's made a difference in me being able to attend the SACAC conference when my school that I was working for at the time didn't have the resources. And then the Extend the Dream grant allowed the program that I work with to pay for food on a field trip, or extend the opportunity to more students than we were going to originally reach. So really think about those opportunities to help you with your professional development or your special projects moving forward.
Danielle?
Yes.
Hey, I'm Nancy Wolf. I'm on the Finance Committee.
Hi, Nancy.
Hey,
Welcome. Do you have
thank
some
you.
additional updates?
Yes, I do. The deadline for the Counselor Participation Fund for next year's conference is December 2nd. And then applications for additional funding for summer professional development, which is listed on the slide, will open in the spring. Last year, and I got the Counselor Participation Fund for SACAC as well. It was actually last time we were in New Orleans, which was, I don't even know how long ago.
2018.
Yeah, for the conference. But we were able to provide funding for over 30 members to participate in professional development, including all the things that are listed on that. And then extending the Dream Grant, we have awarded anywhere from $400 to $1,000 for projects that our members have wanted to do within their communities. And yeah, I just echo that. Please take advantage of these opportunities, and they're great. And it's Iris Martinez and myself that are on the committee, and we work very closely with Julie Maloney, who's the SACAC treasurer, and of course Diana, as always. She's, everyone works closely with Diana, but yeah, we're really excited to get those applications. And again, just please apply. We want to get people there and help as much as we can.
Awesome. Thank you, Nancy, for that update.
Thanks.
All right, we will move forward with the Governance and Nominating Committee. So I don't think anyone is on from Governance and Nominating, but just want to highlight some of the information that they shared. Of course, now's the time as we are preparing for the SACAC conference in the spring, that we are seeking nominations and applications for a president-elect, a treasurer-elect, and multiple board of directors. So this is the time to not only do the spotlight for the members with our communications team, but to really think about how do we elevate those people into roles that will help support SACAC. We're also seeking nominations for our annual awards. And if you have any questions about either of these things, join the webinar tomorrow. So it's November 11th at 12 p.m. Eastern to learn about board roles and responsibilities, award descriptions, and application process. So all of this information, we'll email this out so you'll have access to the links for the board nomination form as well as the application form. But join that webinar tomorrow if you would like more information about either of these processes. All right, we're going to move right along to Government Relations Committee, and we will be hearing from both Anna Plessy and I believe Rose is also on the call as well.
Good morning, everyone. So let's see. Do you mind going to the next slide, please, Danielle? Oh, okay, that's it. So I think Louisiana Legislative Day is on February 26th, and Marshall's also on the call. So Marshall, please, speak up if you have anything to add. I think he also wants to mention a Hill Day, which is the week of April 20th. And then the last thing that's important to note, if you look, maybe we can send this out when we send your, but there's a lot of changes happening within NACAC. And so if you want, to share anything with like colleagues or like some of your students that it could help them, there's a lot of resources. And so we put some, Rose especially put some NACAC things that are happening with NACAC. And then the last thing I want to say is that, just keep getting the word out about government relations because you don't have to know anything coming in. You can just show up. That's what's so great about it. But I think sometimes people think, oh, but I don't know what they do in government relations. But that's okay. You can just come and see. So, um, and then if Marshall and Rose have anything else to add, is that okay if they add? Okay,
Hi,
thanks.
everyone. Thanks so much, Anna. And yes, on our next slide, you'll see a little
All right,
bit
I'm
more.
on.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Marshall. So we'll turn over to Marshall to do the next slide, Danielle. There's just more information about what our government relations newsletter looks like. And Marshall's going to talk about his upcoming Voices in Action event, which is known as our new legislative days. So over to you, Marshall.
Awesome, thank you. And I'm got the dreaded unstable connection, so I'm gonna leave my camera off in hopes that y'all can hear me well. We've split kind of the Voices in Action, the 2 days with a Zoom and then a later Hill Day, with the idea that the Zoom is where we're going to talk about how to advocate. So have people on. So if you are inexperienced and you've never known how to advocate for legislation, advocate for your students with the government, that you're going to have the opportunity to learn better how to do that. And that's the February 26th. And then we have it slated as, so that's just a Zoom. Then the Hill Day that we have not picked a date for, we're waiting to find out when the education committees will actually meet so that we would have the opportunity to go in person possibly and testify at education committee meetings once we see what the legislation is going to look like. So we'll have more information about that once we know what date or days of the week those committees actually meet.
Thank you, Marshall. Awesome. And I think those dates that they're referring to may be later in the presentation, but once we share the presentation out, you all will have all of the resources available. Awesome. We're going to move on to Inclusion, Access, and Inclusion, Access, and Success Committee, and we will hear from Celeste.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's actually almost noon over here in San Juan, so it's pretty much good afternoon for me. I hope everyone's having a good day. I am Celeste Roselli, one of the co-chairs for Inclusion, Access, and Success, along with Eleni Garcia. And we have a couple of updates for our end. One, we always wanted to talk about our virtual discussion and book club, which is rolling along pretty well. Actually, one of our next meetings is in the next couple of days on Thursday, November 13th. They'll be discussing Chapter 3 of A Just Future from Namisha Barton. It's been really wonderful to see what this group has been able to do as part of one of our subcommittees. So I encourage you to really join in. They're having some really great conversations, especially given everything that's happening right now. It's good to have a forum in order for us to discuss these ideas openly and with all the support that the organization brings. Other than that, we have a few updates as related to New Orleans and what's actually going to be happening in the conference. But first, I want to encourage everyone to look out for the different college access workshops that we are going to be hosting. We are currently looking for folks in the Louisiana area who want to be part of the college access workshops and host a few this spring. As Diana mentioned, for the annual conference, with so many of the presentations that have been submitted and knowing that not everyone can be involved, there is a new way for you to share your ideas with the rest of the group. This would be the second year that would be hosting a virtual Inclusion, Access, and Success Forum. We had a wonderful session last year. I don't know if anyone here in this call was able to join, but certainly there were some really great conversations. We heard from actually one of our former co-chairs of this program, Juan Acosta, who talked about the imposter syndrome. And I thought that that was a really good message to hear towards the end of the year, and feeling that you do belong in these spaces and that you need to continuously advocate for yourself because there's so many other people that are advocating for you. Him and Sandria definitely helped get that message home, when the end of the year can sometimes make you feel like you didn't do everything that you possibly could, but you did in fact do everything in your power to help your students along. There were some really great sessions that talked about what colleges are doing on the ground and physically to help their students. Like UNC Greensboro has this really great program that's focused on helping their Hispanic population access college and provide them support once they're on the ground. So we really loved hearing what our other members were doing. So while you may not be tapped to present at the conference, please know that we might actually be reaching out for you to be involved in the virtual IAS forum. And actually, if you want to lead the virtual IAS forum, let us know. It's going to be on May 21st of next year. So there'll be plenty of time to plan, and Eleni and I will be on hand to assist you. I will be rolling off as part of the executive board at SACAC in March as well, like Malika, but I'm always going to be on hand to help assist, especially having run the first forum next year. We are also going to be hosting our annual outreach conference access workshop, hosted by Tulane University on March 21st, 2026, the day before the conference officially starts. And we are also looking for volunteers to help Eleni and myself run the event of that day. You can be involved in many different ways, as being one of the leaders of the College Access Workshop to being someone who can present along with the other folks through the rest of the day. So if you want to let us know, please use the QR code and sign up for that. We'll be reaching out to you. The great thing is that we already have a confirmed space, and we already have the assistance of the folks at Tulane University who have some of their admissions folks who will want to present alongside of us. And that's it for Inclusion, Access, and Success, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Celeste. So much good happening with Inclusion, Access, and Success. Thank you. All right, we will now hear from my partner just a couple of feet away, Shannon Barrio, who's going to give us an update on the Member Relations Committee, followed by Malika Lindsay, who will come back with the professional development updates. Turning it over to Shannon.
Thanks, Danielle, and thanks for organizing. This has been really great. I'm Shannon Barrio. Like Danielle said, I work at Metairie Park Country Day, and I have been hanging out with member relations for a little while. Alex Gonzalez is also a Louisiana gal, so we're highly represented within member relations. And so we'll tell you a little bit about how you can get involved. The biggest thing that we have going on in Louisiana feels like the conference. We're going to be hyping it up all the way until March. But there's we talked about the Counselor Participation Fund and the Extending the Dream Fund. We have the local public high school counselor experience for local counselors, and that extends through the state of Louisiana and even further if you consider yourself local and certainly within driving distance. Go ahead and fill this out if you are a public high school counselor or a community-based organization or work in college access. And this can help you participate in the Louisiana Public High School experience, which will be a fully funded conference experience for you. And so through the Counselor Participation Fund, we are also funneling local public high school counselor experience through that. So you fill out one form, and some will receive the Counselor Participation Fund, and then some will receive the public high school counselor experience. So highly recommend getting yourself in that pool for the conference. Of course, our special interest groups, they're really active right now. We try to meet twice virtually outside of that conference space. And so typically that's in May and December. We are a little limited by the space at conference, but if you have an idea for a SIG, please reach out to member relations. There are micro communities within SACAC. it allows for opportunities for networking and knowledge sharing and just joining with people who have similar interests or affinities as you all. One of the ones that I did want to point out that's kind of gaining traction is the working parents and other master jugglers. I noticed Anne Peel was bouncing her new baby on her lap, so I know a lot of parents, but I don't want people to be lock onto that working parents, because one of the co-founders or one of the SIG leaders is also a caretaker, Mary Allison North. So we really want to make space for always your juggling employment and work and the demands of the college counseling and ever-changing admissions field, and whatever else you have going on. So we welcome you to that one as well. Again, these are the upcoming virtual meetings. This is great to jump on, especially if you're coming to conference, to just kind of meet a few people ahead of time. And again, that link, I think you'll probably have to copy and paste it into your browser, but you're able to kind of sign up for those and put them on your calendar. We'd love to have you. And then we're currently in membership. I think right now, if you haven't renewed, it's a great time. I know they mentioned the conference fee, but if you pay your $45 membership fee, that you get the member discount for conference. And so if you're thinking about going to conference and you're not a member now, that's a great opportunity to kind of pitch to your organization to get a little bit of a discount for the conference fee. That membership fee is going to go up next year. So keep that in mind as you budget. I know a lot of budgets are set in the spring, so it's going to be $60 moving forward after June of next year. And then the free access membership, I was talking to Diana mentioned, we've had an uptick in Louisiana members, and I think that is kind of the conference coming up and the Louisiana the local public high school counselor experience. So that is free membership for anyone that works in a public high school, community-based organization, access college counselors. I'd like to mention, though, if you are at a well-resourced public school, we would love to encourage you to pay for your membership. And so it is a great service that we're able to provide, but there are lots of costs, including insurance, based on how many members we have. So just wanted to mention, if you're at a public high school that is able to pay for that membership, or a community-based organization that is well-resourced, we'd love to have you contribute so that we can offer access to those members who don't have any funding for professional development. I think that's it, y'all. It's been great to see everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, Shannon. And speaking of professional development, we'll have Malika Lindsay come on back up.
Good morning again, everyone. Again, my name is Malika Lindsay. I am one of the 3 professional development co-chairs and on the board of directors. And there are a few things that happen every year that we want to make sure you're aware of. And we want to make sure you know what they are so you can talk them up and encourage folks to participate. I'm sure many of you have participated in these as well. Summer seminar, which will happen on the campuses of Vanderbilt and is it Belmont? Yeah, I think it's Vanderbilt and Belmont campuses this summer. It went beautifully this last summer and will go fabulously again this coming summer, but it's an opportunity for new or almost new college counselors to get their feet wet and learn a lot of the fundamentals of good college counseling. Similarly, Dry Run is a perennial favorite, and that's an opportunity for folks who are new to college admissions to get their feet under them and get really comfortable with not only networking, but with what the actual expectations of a college admissions counselor or professional is, especially when it comes to professionalism and managing time and managing responsibilities. So that's a great opportunity. I know many of you have participated in that back when you were new to this game. Next slide, please. So 2 other things that we think are really important for you to consider enjoying our webinars. We actually have one going off tomorrow that was mentioned earlier. That's just about opportunities to grow in the profession. But webinars happen several times a year. Usually it's about 3 times a semester. And they're an opportunity to just learn and grow for free, offered by our association. And oftentimes, or actually in the coming years, sometimes those of you who've submitted proposals for sessions for conference that didn't necessarily get chosen for that may be asked to step up and do a webinar on that exact same topic, or to serve in that capacity. So look out for that. But webinars are a really great way to learn some things and get some support, and certainly to share your own expertise with your colleagues all over our region. And then SACAC Leads is our, it's fair to say, is our leadership incubator, where we are encouraging mid-level or not new to the profession folks to get involved in SACAC Leads, which is an actively mentor-mentee based situation where folks are learning how to advance in the profession and how to establish themselves as leaders in our association. SACAC Leads is incredibly useful, and I know we're currently seeking both participants and faculty for coming years. Of course, faculty need to be deeply experienced folks. 10 to 15 years of experience typically is what we expect from those minimum. And then everyone else, again, is welcome to participate as a member of the SACAC Leads cohort. They will gather at the conference in March, but we are really excited to see them continue to learn and grow. Next slide. And upcoming events. Sweet Tea Tour is a perennial favorite, and we will be sharing details with the association soon about where Sweet Tea Tour will go this coming year. Sweet Tea Tour always sells out very quickly, so if you're interested in participating in Sweet Tea Tour, it's a great opportunity to network with folks, primarily independent counselors, and school counselors are the ones who take the most advantage of this opportunity. But you visit a bunch of schools in a given region and learn a lot. But getting your feet on the ground, there's no better way to learn about a school than to actually experience it yourself. And doing it with a bunch of colleagues is always a fun thing to do. So we will share details of where that will happen soon, but we'll probably open it in late winter, early spring, and it will sell out that month. So please keep an eye out for Sweet Tea Tour.
Awesome. Thank you, Malika. And thank you to all of our board of directors. Thank you. Thank you to all of our board of directors who joined us to provide updates on your committees. I want to move fast past the state updates because most of them have been mentioned already, and we will share this presentation out. I want to leave time for what I know we are all here for, which is the updates from LOSFA led by Haley Pellegrin, and I'm just so excited that she's here to give us what's new with TOPS and all the things that are happening on the state level. So I'm going to turn it over to Haley now, and we'll come back at the end to close out the presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Danielle. Good morning, everyone. My name is Haley Pellegrin. I am one of the outreach coordinators here at LOSFA, the Louisiana Office of Student Financial Assistance. Next slide, please. So a little bit about LOSFA. We are a program of the Board of Regents. So we administer the state scholarship and grants programs, as well as the state's College 529 savings programs. And our mission is to be Louisiana's first choice for college access by promoting, preparing for, and providing college access support to any student, any age, anywhere in Louisiana. So our most popular award is TOPS, followed by the MJ Foster Promise Program Award, which is for our adult non-traditional learners. Next slide. So a couple of reminders about TOPS. Funding for TOPS is contingent upon appropriation. So that means that each year the legislature does meet to determine if TOPS is fully funded for the next academic year. So they will meet in the spring to determine if TOPS will be fully funded for the 26-27 academic year. It is currently fully funded for the 25-26 academic year, and we always tell our parents and students, as well as our counselors, don't panic. There hasn't been a funding shortfall since 2016-2017, so we don't anticipate that to change. but we do just like to remind people of that. TOPS is currently fully funded, like I said, for the 25-26 year. And starting with the graduating class of 2016, we just like to remind everyone that the TOPS award amounts are decoupled from tuition and are set to the TOPS fully funded award amounts of the 2016-2017 year. And so what that means is that what I like to say is TOPS now covers a portion of college tuition, besides our newest award level, TOPS Excellence, which I will touch on. But otherwise, all of our TOPS award amounts will cover a portion of college tuition, not the entirety of their tuition charged to their fee bill. And that's because, again, these awards were set by legislation, these award amounts. And in order for those to change, the legislature would have to meet to enact legislation to change it. So colleges have every right to increase tuition, but in order for us to increase those TOPS award amounts, the legislature would have to meet to change that. Next slide. So I just wanted to make you guys aware that we do know that there was a TOPS processing issue this year over the summer. A lot of this has been rectified, and we do have a plan moving forward, but we did just want to, let you guys know and make you guys aware. So we are aware that there was an issue with our TOPS Tech Early Start recipients that was resulting in duplicate lost IDs. We were getting lots of calls and emails from students, parents, and counselors. And students that were TOPS Tech Early Start students in high school were not getting processed timely and appropriately for TOPS. We are working to merge the records, and we'll be changing the process to require our post-secondary institutions where those students are taking those TOPS Tech Early Start courses to provide the students SSN when billing. And so that will eliminate the duplication of records, which would be creating another lost ID. So that would eliminate that. And then they would only have one lost ID. And so once we start processing those students, it's not like they would have duplicate accounts. But we are working to merge those. We just wanted to make you guys aware. Next slide. We do now receive ACT work keys directly from ACT every May. So if you are a school or a counselor that does offer ACT work keys, the scores no longer need to be sent to us from you guys, except for any qualifying scores that are earned by graduating seniors after April 30th. So we get them sent to us every May, but of course, if you have a student that gets a qualifying ACT work key score of a silver or higher after April 30th, so anytime in May, I would need you guys to send those to us to make sure that we get them timely so that we can process them. If we do not have a student's work key score on file, there's two ways that you can submit it to us. So you can submit the work key skills report for an individual student, or if you have multiple students, I do have the work keys test result form. It's a fillable PDF, and you can put in multiple students on there. So you're not having to attach multiple work key skills reports to an email for me to process your students. You can just fill out that PDF. We do ask as well, when the time comes and you're emailing me, following up about, a student's work key score, because they're saying, hey, LOSPA doesn't have it, or you're like, hey, multiple students are saying that you guys don't have our work key scores. I just ask that you guys ensure that your students have already, your seniors have already submitted the TOPS online application or the FAFSA. We need them to do one of those two applications so that it can create an account with our office and create that lost ID that we talk about. And that way I have an account to merge that ACT work key score with. If I don't have one of those two, then there's no account for me to merge that work key score with. So sometimes there's a chance we might actually have that student's work key score, but if they haven't completed the FAFSA or the TOPS online application, it's kind of just sitting there in our system until their application is done. And then once it creates an account, it can be merged. And oftentimes that's automatic, but if you need me to manually add a work key score, we are happy to do so. We just need that application on file. Next slide, please, Danielle. So we are aware that ACT made the science portion of the ACT test optional. So biggest question is, how does that affect TOPS? So we have been trying to get the verbiage out, get the wording right to where there's no confusion. So students that take the EMR English, math, and reading tests. So starting with September, the ACT made science test optional. So the September ACT test, science is no longer included in the composite score. That's not a LOSFA thing. That's not a TOPS thing. That's an ACT thing. So now it's treated like the essay portion of the ACT. So it has its own score off to the side. It is not calculated in the student's composite score. They now have an EMR composite score, English, math, and reading. So there's no science. Whether the student takes science or not, it is not included in their composite score. So for TOPS purposes, we will take their EMR composite score without science. That is because, again, it doesn't matter for the composite score if the student takes science or not. ACT is not calculating science into that composite score, and we need the highest composite score from a single test to process a student for TOPS. And it's never moving forward, those tests are not going to include science in the composite, whether the student takes it or not. So we do tell students that they can choose to take science. So let's say you have a student that is interested in a STEM field. We definitely want them to see what the admissions requirements is to their colleges, to see if they need a certain ACT or SAT score to be placed in a certain class, a biology, a chemistry, maybe a math. If they need certain scores, or need a certain science score to be placed in a course, they need to check with their admissions representative at the colleges they're interested in, just to make sure. But for TOPS purposes, we do not need them to take that science portion. Students can opt to do so again, but for TOPS processing purposes, we do not need the science portion. Now, what I will say is, if you do have a senior and their highest score was from last year's test, which the composite includes science, ACT is not going backwards and pulling out the science and recalculating composite scores for past tests. Those are staying the same. So those are EMRS scores. If those scores include science and your senior had a higher score on their junior year test that included the science and the composite, we'll take that one too. We're not in the business of messing over students. We want to process them for TOPS. We want them to get the desired level that they want, need, and are trying to achieve. So we will take either composite score. The goal is the highest composite score for that student. So again, I just want to reiterate, science is not required moving forward to be processed for TOPS, but we will take a past ACT composite score if it is higher that does include science. There's been common misconceptions that, counselors think we're calculating our own composite score with science. No, we're not. We are taking the composite score from the official ACT transcript, and that's what we're using to process the student. And moving forward, since the September test date, ACT will not calculate science in the composite score whatsoever. It will always just be its own score to the side, just like an essay portion would be. And so we will just take the highest composite score. Next slide. We do have an agreement with SAT, so we just wanted to remind you guys and make you guys aware that we can no longer accept mailed, faxed, or emailed copies of official ACT scores. We need those sent to us directly. So for a lot of students that log into their ACT portal, they send those scores to us directly with the code. Same thing has to happen with SAT. So they would log into their College Board account and they would send their highest SAT score to us with the code 9019. So just like they would go and send it to a college, they would send us their highest SAT score so that we can process those, because students can take the SAT in lieu of the ACT. We understand that the SAT is not as popular here in the South. However, that is still an option for them. And we do want to make you guys aware that they just can't email us a copy of their SAT scores. We do need those official transcripts. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to briefly go over some exciting legislative changes that we had this year. Next slide. So Act 59, just so you guys are aware, this provides that our Go Teach program, which is for our students that are already enrolled in college post-secondary that are looking to major in education or an alternative certification program for education, so they want to become a teacher. That program funds will now be considered first dollar. So this means that it will be applied and awarded to the students' tuitions, fees, textbooks, basically their fee bill, before any other state or institutional aid is applied. That's really exciting for them. So it will be applied first, and then any other aid that they have will then be applied to their fee bill balance. Act 110 does increase our ABLE, so our Achieving a Better Life experience account owners, state tax deduction up to $2,400 per beneficiary for an individual tax return and $4,800 per beneficiary for joint tax returns. So a nice little tax break for our ABLE account owners. Next slide, Danielle. Act 152, I just want to highlight this for you guys because it does talk a little bit about TOPS Tech Early Start. So this act provides additional responsibilities to our MJ Foster Advisory Council and provides that in addition to selecting eligible programs for MJ Foster Promise Program, that the council will identify programs for TOPS Tech as well as TOPS Tech Early Start. So it requires that the council consider eligible programs for MJ Foster when identifying eligible programs for TOPS Tech and TOPS Tech Early Start. They don't have to precisely align, but the MJ Foster Council is choosing those and considering those eligible programs. Next slide. Act 59. Oh, Act 356. Okay, so this is another one so basically it provided that all high schools must utilize a 10-point grading scale when reporting grades in the student transcript system for the purpose of determining a student's eligibility for the TOPS award. So this requirement went into effect for the 24-25 academic year for public schools, but originally was not required for non-public schools. But when legislation passed, they changed that. So any 24-25 graduates of any public or non-public school, the grades reported on a 10-point scale will only be the courses taken during the 24-25 academic year for TOPS core curriculum. So basically what that means is that our public schools had already had to report those TOPS core classes on a 10-point scale to us, but now this act required our non-public schools to do so as well. So they did have to go back with our graduating class of 2025 and change those TOPS core courses to a 10-point scale if they had the courses on a 7-point scale. And that is to make it an even playing field across the board for our public and non-public students to be able to achieve TOPS. And that is moving forward. So there's a common misconception that I am trying to spread the word. So please, my non-public school counselors that are on this call, help me to debunk this. But our non-public school counselors were under the impression that you only had to report the 24-25 academic year TOPS core courses on a 10-point scale. It's actually moving forward indefinitely. The only way that's going to change is if legislation meets to enact legislation to change it back. So moving forward, public and non-public schools will have to report TOPS core grades on a 10-point scale, period, moving forward. So any TOPS core classes that you report in the student transcript system will need to be reported on a 10-point scale. Again, public schools have already been required to do this. Non-public schools, starting with this year's past seniors that just graduated in 2025, had to do this, and we will do this moving forward. The only way to change this is if legislation meets to enact legislation to change it. It wasn't just for 1 year, it's indefinitely moving forward as of right now. Next slide. So Act 268 does push back. So the implementation of the requirement that at least one Carnegie unit of computer science be completed to qualify for TOPS. So the legislation did hear you because I know that a lot of you were reaching out to us and saying, hey, like y'all are requiring computer science and it's not even a graduation requirement with LDOE yet. And that was because legislation, our legislatures had made that law and had made the act. And so it required us to tell you guys that, and then it didn't actually align with LDOE's diploma requirements for graduation for the state. So they did push it back to align. So it did push back that computer science requirement to qualify for TOPS to the graduates of the 2030, 2031. So that is exciting. They did hear you and they did change that. And then Act 359 does eliminate the requirement that home study students achieve a higher score on the ACT than students who attend a public or approved non-public high school in Louisiana. So they have the same ACT requirements as our private and public school students. Next slide. Act 347 is the most exciting one and the biggest change. It creates the TOPS Excellence Award and provides that students may qualify based on an equivalent concordant value on the ACT, on the classical learning test, and I will touch on CLT. To qualify for TOPS Excellence Award, our newest award level, a student must have achieved a 31 composite score, not super score on the ACT, and a 3.5 TOPS core GPA, and meet the general eligibility requirements for TOPS as well as completion of that TOPS core curriculum. If they meet all of those, the award amount for an excellence award at a public college or university is the actual tuition and fees charged by the institution to the fee bill, or $12,000 annually, whichever is less. So what that means is if a student, this award will cover a student's tuition and fees charged to their fee bill, but if their fee bill is more than $6,000 a semester with tuition and fees, then they're going to get the $12,000 annually. So it's $12,000 annually or tuition and fees charged to the fee bill, whichever is less. And that is for our public colleges and universities. Now, the award amount for TOPS Excellence Award at a college or university, that is one of our LaQ institutions. So that's our Franciscan Missionary, like our Friend U. That's our Loyola, our Tulane, any of those schools. So students, same thing for TOPS Excellence. It's going to be tuition and fees charged to the fee bill or $8,500 annually, whichever is less. So please note those differences. It's not $12,000 across the board for public and private universities. Those amounts are different, and it's tuition and fees charged to the fee bill or that annual amount, whichever is less. Next slide. So I just want to touch on the classical learning test. So the CLT, this is the newest test. This was also passed in legislation this year. So this is now a test that students can take to qualify for TOPS. So now they have the option to take the ACT, SAT, or the CLT, the classical learning test. So CLT is an online college entrance exam geared towards 11th and 12th graders. They can test either in school or at home with remote proctoring. We're very aware, though, this is new to Louisiana. And also, we are aware that there's lots of contracts with schools with ACT. So I do try to reiterate and make students very aware, and parents, that remote proctoring is probably going to be the only option for them at this moment in time with classical learning tests if they choose to go that route. And that's simply because, number one, this is still so new, so there's not a lot of testing centers locally, just in the community, and then schools aren't offering CLT because they have a contract with ACT. So they can do remote proctoring at home. It contains 3 sections: verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, and grammar and writing. It's about 2 hours in length. So it's about the same amount of time now as to take the EMR test for ACT or SAT. And then it does have an optional essay, of course. So the only caveat with CLT, again, they can totally take this test to qualify for TOPS. However, the only caveat is, as far as a college admissions requirement, the only school that will take the CLT as an admissions test is Louisiana Christian University in Pineville. So what I tell students and parents is, if they decide they want to try the CLT, if they're hitting a roadblock with ACT, SAT, and they are just at their wits' end and they want to try the CLT option, they are welcome to do so. However, I do tell them, reach out to the colleges and universities that your senior is interested in applying to and see what their admissions requirements are for tests. Are they test optional? Do they require a certain test score to get in? Do they need a certain score in a certain subject to be placed in a course? And that is because, again, the only school that accepts CLT as an admissions test is Louisiana Christian University. So everyone else, if they need an admissions test, is going to want that ACT or SAT. So the student just needs to be aware, because even if they take the CLT, they might have to take the SAT as well, or the ACT if they need a certain score to be admitted into the college of their choice. Now, some are test optional, but again, that's just something that they would have to talk to the universities that they're interested in about and see what their admissions requirements are as far as tests go. Next slide. So just wanted to highlight our TOPS core curriculum changes, just so you can get a nice overview. I love this slide. This is my favorite slide because I just feel like it hits all the high points and makes it the least confusing. So for our current seniors, our graduating class of 2026, there are no changes to our TOPS core curriculum. However, moving forward, there will be changes. So for our current juniors, the class of 2027, for our OPHE pathway, our TOPS University students, students can choose to complete 2 computer science courses rather than 2 foreign language courses to complete the OPHE core curriculum. For our TOPS Tech students, if your school does offer TOPS Tech, it adds geometry as a required math. So before it was just algebra, and now starting with our juniors, geometry is a required math for them for TOPS Tech. So that's for our juniors. For our class of 2028 through class of 2030, this adds that financial literacy course that everyone has heard about to the OPHE core courses. So for the TOPS core curriculum for our OPHE students, that's actually going to change the 19 core unit total to 20. So financial literacy will be its own bucket and its own requirement for students to meet. They have to take that course and complete it to meet the TOPS core curriculum. So your school will have to offer financial literacy, and students will need to take it to meet TOPS. So again, that adds that. So it's not going to go into a certain, like, it's not going to go under math. It's not going to go under science, social studies. No, it's going to be financial literacy, its own bucket, and they do have to complete it. So it's going to change the core unit amount from 19 to 20. So that's going to be a big change. And then for our TOPS Tech students, if your school offers TOPS Tech, Jumpstart Pathway, that will add financial literacy as their 3rd required math. So for our class of 28, 2030, again, that would add financial literacy as their 3rd required math. So that's just an overall view. And then for our current 7th graders, our class of 2031, that is the start of everyone, whether they are Jumpstart TOPS Tech Pathway or OPHE TOPS University Pathway. Everyone will have to take a computer science course, and they are going to be required to do so. And that's in order to meet any of the TOPS core curricula. So that will be our Jumpstart students, that will be our university students, either pathway that your school has, starting with our current 7th graders, our graduating class of 2031, they will have to take computer science. Next slide. I did just want to highlight our TOPS Universal transfer pathways, just in case you guys aren't familiar with these. So TOPS Tech Universal Transfer Pathways provide students with a clear structured route from a 2-year college program to a 4-year university degree. So this is to encourage our TOPS Tech students that were awarded TOPS Tech, but always know that their end goal is to get a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree, to still use their TOPS Tech award and then transfer over to a university to get their 4-year award. So these pathways begin with a TOPS Tech award used at a 2-year institution, lead to an associate's degree in high demand fields, and then seamlessly transfers over to a university of their choice to get a related bachelor's degree in that program. Next slide. So here's the top demand fields that they can get them in. They have accounting and business, computer science, criminal justice, engineering, kinesiology, and nursing. Lots of very popular ones too. For lots of our students who know their end goal is a bachelor's degree, is a 4-year award, but they got awarded TOPS Tech. And so a lot of them will just immediately start at a 4-year, but our goal is for them to use their TOPS Tech award and then transfer over. Next slide. So I am a very visual person, so I wanted to provide an example for you guys of this. So if a student is awarded TOPS Tech, and let's say they choose the accounting pathway, they can start at any of these community colleges LCTCS schools. So Bossier Parish Community College, you'll notice LSUE is on here, and RPCC. They can start there, get 60 credits, get an associate's degree in accounting, and transfer seamlessly to all of these schools in the right-hand column. And notice that there's a lot of popular schools in that right-hand column that a lot of students want to go to, that their goal, their dream is to end up there. So this still allows them to utilize their TOPS Tech Award, but then also still have their goal of going to their dream school and of achieving that bachelor's degree. So again, this is just an example of a student on the accounting pathway. So they can start at RPCC and then transfer to LSU if that's their goal, or Grambling. And those are schools that do not take TOPS Tech. Next slide. Just a few changes in FAFSA in case you're not aware. So beginning in August, the FAFSA now does real-time identity verification, which is so exciting for our counselors, because I know when we go in to do FAFSA completion events, you try to reiterate to those students and parents all the time, please, please, please do your FSA ID, 1 to 3 days in advance. And of course, never fails. Of course, there's always someone that doesn't, or the parent doesn't get reiterated the information from the student, and then we're having to do that FSA ID at that FAFSA completion event, which is totally fine, but then we can't move forward with FAFSA completion because now it had to do that verification 1 to 3 days. Well, now it's real-time verification, which is so exciting. So we can do an FSA ID, we can do a parent's FSA ID, a student's, and then we can immediately complete the FAFSA. It's amazing. And so no longer that 1 to 3 day window. So exciting. Next slide. So they did also simplify the contributor invite process. So if a student starts the FAFSA, they now only have to put in their parents' email address to invite them to contribute to the FAFSA. Again, so exciting, because something I've realized in my time with working with students is that they do not know their parents' complete date of birth. And it's also requiring them to put in a social, things of that nature. And of course, some of these students don't even know their own social security number, much less their parents. So it has made it so easy to be able to invite those parents with just an email. Now, I will say, if the parent goes in to do the FAFSA first and they start it before the student does, the student does have to have an FSA ID already created, and they do have to put in all their students' information. So that would be their student's first name, last name, social, birthday, and email. So the parent has to do all of it, and the student does have to have an FSA ID first. However, the other way around, if the student starts it, then they just send an email to the parent. And then the parent will create an FSA ID if they need to, if they don't already have one. And if not, they'll just log right in, put in their little code that they were sent, and complete their contributor portion of the FAFSA. So again, very exciting, especially for our students. Next slide. So this is just the decision tree that I always show our students and parents, just letting them know their options, because as we are aware, FAFSA is no longer a graduation requirement in Louisiana, but we still want them to know the importance of FAFSA, what it is, why should they complete it. And so we just let them know, their options, and that both apply them for TOPS, but that the FAFSA applies them for, these awards that are listed on this flow chart, and then that the TOPS application is exactly what it sounds like. It only applies them for TOPS. And so we just kind of advise them and let them know of their options. Next slide. We just want to do a plug, so please request us for a LASPA event. We are domiciled in downtown Baton Rouge, but we service the entire state. So wherever you are, please schedule an event with us. They're scheduled online. You just go to mylaspa.la.gov. You'll click on schools and partners, and you'll request a LASPA event. It's a quick little job form. Events typically we ask that they be requested 30 days in advance. That is simply to ensure that we do have a LASPA team member that will cover your event. And also it gives you do typically have to list 3 options of dates and times. And that gives you almost like a guarantee that you're going to get your first choice if you do it 30 days in advance. And again, it's just simply to allow us to plan travel for our team members. So again, 30 days in advance if possible. If a parent, student, or you as a counselor needs any assistance, we do virtual office hours Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You sign up for those on our website. Counselor virtual office hours are separate from the general public. So from our students and parents, you will meet with me or my colleague Rhonda specifically if you are a counselor or administrator and need some assistance. And then the others, like the students and the parents, will meet with any of our outreach staff. And we do offer both in-person and virtual events. Next slide, please. And so here's a broad list of all of our events, and we can meet in the daytime or at the evening, whatever works best for you and your students and parents. And we do virtual and in person. Next slide. We did update our counselor's corner on our website. It looks so pretty. It's so user-friendly. So please, if you haven't already, go take a look at our counselor's corner. I actually use it too when I'm trying to locate resources very quickly because I know that they're in there and I know where to find them. So please, this is where you can request a LOSPA event. This is where you can request virtual office hours with me. We have our professional development and webinar recordings there. We have a sign up for our counselor communication so that you can get your monthly counselor communication from me that I always send out. And then we have a resource library with all of our resources. It's so great. Next slide. So if you aren't signed up for our counselor communication email list, please scan this QR code. It's really quick to do. You just put in your name and your email, and it will add you to my counselor communication list. All of our counselor communications are sent through Constant Contact. So just please make sure that lospa.counselors@la.gov is not blocked by your school or district, and it doesn't get sent immediately to your junk spam folder, because again, I do send one once a month. And it always has important information for you guys. Next slide. We do offer comprehensive advising services. So our comprehensive advisors are full-time employees in our office that help any student, any age, anywhere in Louisiana. No matter where they are on their college access journey, LOSPA CAOs will assist them. They can help them with identifying how to prepare and pay for college through scholarships, grants, and financial aid. Maybe the student needs help with job shadowing, internships, or job placements. They can help with that. And discovering pathways to earn their credential or degree, and finding a school that is best fit for them. So they offer wraparound services, and it's a little more longevity. It is free to the student to use. So please share this as a resource. You can scan the QR code for additional information, but our CAO services are also on our website. Next slide. We do also have student network groups. It is virtual. It is held on the third Monday of every month. So this provides an opportunity for Louisiana students to network with other students throughout the state and discover resources and opportunities for successful degree completion, internships, job placement, and it allows them to connect with professionals and employers in respective fields of their interests. So we do have all kinds of virtual network groups, student network groups, and they sometimes even offer scholarships to the students that are logged on. They'll be like, hey, we have this scholarship to offer to you guys. And so it's a great resource for your students. They can sign up for that as well. And again, it is virtual. So next slide. So if you don't already, please connect with us on social media. We have Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. This is where we post our real-time updates. So whenever the FAFSA opens, we post that there. Whenever there's a major change to TOPS, we post that there. Because we not only do we want you guys to know in real time, which I will make sure of that via counselor communication. However, we also do want our students and parents to know. So we will post that on social media. And that's our fastest way to get it out there. So please just follow us on at least one. We do also have scholarships that we post there as well. Next slide. This is Lex. Lex is our virtual assistant. She's available 24/7 to answer questions about TOPS. If students get too specific with their questions, Lex will route them to a live agent in our office. She's a great resource. However, when they do get too specific, she will route them. However, I do also tell students, if you are messaging like late at night or on a weekend, it's going to be answered by a live agent in the next business day. So don't be surprised if you're getting like an 8 a.m. message that's like, hey, you know, we're here to answer your question about TOPS. So for your students and parents, there's 2 emails they need to email if they have questions or need resources. The first one is CusServe, short for customer service at la.gov. That's our general email that they can email any questions about any of our programs. Eligibility, initial eligibility, continuing eligibility, any questions about any of our programs, they can email those questions there. If they have FAFSA specific questions, they can email GEAUX, FAFSA at la.gov. And so they can email any FAFSA specific questions to that email. And again, like I said, we do have virtual office hours offered to you guys, but also to parents and students. Next slide. And so please, counselors, write down this email. This is the email that I want you to use. So I don't want you guys having to email cusserve@la.gov. If you do, that is totally fine. It will eventually get routed to me, but this takes out the middleman. I'm always monitoring this email. And if I'm out in the field for some reason doing presentations, things of that nature, I do have other colleagues that also work with counselors that are viewing this email and can respond to you guys promptly. This just ensures like quick and efficient responses and accurate responses. So LOSFA.counselors@la.gov. That is for counselors, school staff, and administrators. So again, your parents and students need to use the general email, but you guys have LOSFA.counselors@la.gov as your resource. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you, Haley. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I'm getting an alert that my internet is unstable, but I really appreciate the comprehensive presentation. I think this was right on time. Definitely wanted to reiterate that TOPS Excellence Award because I know that just came to me and my colleague Shannon's attention this year. And so maybe other counselors were just finding that information out as well. But thank you so much for always being available and helpful to our Louisiana counselors. All right, y'all, I know it's been a morning. Want to continue to move forward, reiterating the SACAC memberships. The current fee is $45. But as Shannon mentioned earlier, that rate is going to go up for next year. So just keep that in mind as you're planning for next year. But don't wait to update your membership so that you have access to the info hub and growth zone that Dominique mentioned earlier, and just all of the excellent professional development that we put on throughout the year. At this time, I do want to turn it over to Monique Tubbs, who is one of our board of directors and serves with the State and Area Initiatives Committee.
Awesome. Good morning. It has been a fabulous morning, as you stated. I just want to say thank you all for attending. This was a very informative session. I was messaging my co-chairs, which is Kristen Bird, who is in the great state of Tennessee, and also Mr. Darren Morgan, who is in Arkansas, to tell them how well everything was going. Kristen was logged on briefly, but it was a phenomenal session. And Haley, I just want to personally say thank you, because while it's state specific, there are still some FAFSA information. I was taking notes, and your energy regarding a topic that can sometimes be hard to digest was so appreciated. You and Jason C, I feel like are unmatched. So thank you for being here and giving such great information to us all, and to all of the board of directors of volunteers that were able to present today such valuable information. And last but certainly not least, thank you, Danielle, because you stepped up, you stepped in, and you did an amazing job. I do want to put in a shameless plug. If you'll go to the next slide, Danielle, that we are super excited to invite.
It did not update on this one.
It didn't update. That's okay. I'll put it in the, you know what? No, I'll hang out right here. So we need you, LA. We need y'all to show up and show out. This was a wonderful turnout, but I'm going to invite you all to stay on with me and Danielle. Don't you log out now, and just chat for a few minutes so we can talk to you about some areas where we need your support and representation. Right now, for state and area initiatives specifically, we do need a SAI chair and also drive-in workshop. I would love to chat with you a little bit about what those roles entail and how you can be actively engaged. Even if it may not be an immediate yes, let's just chat a little bit so you know a little bit more about the expectations, and we get you introduced to, even if it may be another committee you're interested in. I also want to input in the chat, our chairs are a great resource. The website is a great resource. Our webinars is a great resource. Growth Zone, thanks to Diana, is amazing. But you can also reach out to the board of directors. I put a link in the chat because if you just want to have a more personal conversation to better understand what each of our committees is about, who better than to go to those who are serving, right? So thank you guys again. I just want to encourage you to be actively engaged in SACAC. And if you are not a member, to join, especially if you're at a public school. We have free access membership, and for CBOs as well, take advantage. And with that, I am going to say have a fabulous day, and I'm going to kick it back to Danielle.
Wonderful. I'm going to try to get that slide to come up while we hang out at the end, Monique. But just want to say again, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Haley. Thank you to all of our board of directors who were on and presented for the committees. And I also just got a note from Diana that we had one person, at least one person, join SACAC while we were on this meeting. So we are doing great, y'all. And let's keep up that momentum. Like I said, I think, you know, this is the year, right? Like to really show up with Louisiana at the SACAC conference in New Orleans and show that we are strong and mighty and ready to do the work. And I know we have some powerful people with great and creative ideas that can really contribute to this organization. So I'm excited to continue collaborating with everyone. I hope everyone has a great Monday. I can't believe it's still only Monday morning, but we have a great week. If you're approaching any critical deadlines, I pray that you give yourself grace, give your students grace, and take some time for yourself throughout the week and, of course, over the weekend. And I look forward to seeing everyone soon on any of the virtual opportunities that were mentioned, but then, of course, also in person.
Yeah.
And Monique has something.
No, I was raising the roof, but I will say I did put in the I did put in the chat the flyer that we were trying to bring up. So if you guys will scan that flyer, if you can't hang on, I do recognize you guys may be on a time constraint, then someone from SAI will reach out to you specifically. And again, the link for board of directors is there as well. So just raising the roof. And I'm excited to see you guys in your home state soon.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So we will officially end the meeting, but if you're going to stay on to chat about how to get involved within SACAC, we will be around. Thank you, everyone.